Hey, yo, I want to talk about Innistrad Remastered. Yeah, that's right, again. I said at the start of the year my New Year's resolution was to try and be more positive, because you all said in the comments that's the type of content you want to watch. Well, you want to know the funny thing about YouTube? Videos live and die by how much engagement they get in their first couple of hours. So shall we look at mine? Last week, a positive look at Innistrad. How many views in the first 2 hours? 657. Is that a lot? Well, let's compare. The week before, a positive breakdown of the art on the cards new to the remaster. First 2 hours, 771 views, okay. The week before, the fun monthly quiz I run. It's a laugh, you should check it out. 208 views, oof, right? The week before again, nothing negative about a beginner's guide. 1096 views, that's a good one, okay. And the week before that, what's he lying to you, as negative a thumbnail as it gets? 2,828 views. And that thumbnail was a joke, I wasn't being negative at all, I was just talking about insects. You wanna see a real negative one? Let's look at this one, a takedown of Whatsy's attitude in response to feedback, and then compare it side by side against last week's positive video. What a shocker. The negative one got 3,407 views in the first couple of hours. So what about this one? I'd say that certainly counts as negative. Shall we compare again? Surprise, surprise, 5,176 views. That's nearly 8 times as many. So okay, message received. And I do read the comments. I saw you all in that last video appreciative and supportive of the positive direction my channel was taking, but I'm sad to say to you, to those that watched, and to the rest of my wonderful patrons that positivity's just not what the rest of these goblins want. So okay, here it is. Let's take last week's positive video where I share my love for Innistrad and flip it. For you. We're going to make that same video again, but this time give the people what they apparently crave. Let's get negative. Are you happy now? Are you not entertained? I made several observations and critiques last week about aspects of the remaster that I wasn't quite as thrilled with and I think could have been handled better, so this week let's lean into it and see how many of them I can bring up again and unforgivably tear apart. Are you ready to hear me moan? Are you ready to hear me complain? Are you all ready to get negative? Well, before that, I just want to say a big thank you to Zatu Games again for sending this box of Innistrad Remastered out to me for free. I went more into it last week, but I don't talk to them and I don't ask anything in exchange for sending me stuff like this. I'm not obligated to thank them or even mention them in the video, but I'd feel like a dick if I didn't, so link in the description to their website. Specifically to the June board game, which at least of time of writing is on sale, because I played it recently and it's sick. I was the Spacing Guild and I won on turn 4 by forming an alliance with the Emperor, but not before a single Fremen broke into one of our strongholds and detonated himself by firing a las pistol into his own shield belt thing, resulting in a nuclear explosion. It was amazing, it was so good. So yeah, Zatu haven't asked me to plug that game or say anything at all for that matter, but I'm thankful they send me stuff and that game's very good, I'd recommend it, so link in the description. Now, prepare to get negative, and let's zoom in, because as you can see, my assistant, Dr. Hands, has grabbed 6 packs for us, and remember, we're trying to make all the same criticisms I made last week, but this time more negatively. I hope you're ready, because here we go. Pack 1. Dr. Hands has laid these out as usual. Over here are our 6 commons, including the 1 guaranteed double-faced common, our uncommon and our wild card, our rare or mythic, our non-foil retro frame card, our foil, our basic land, and our token or art card. And the first card I want to talk about is Chalice of Life, because as I mentioned at 4 minutes 44 last week, several noticeable cards have been left out of this set. Falkenrath Aristocrat was the example I gave, one of the cards that gave the Aristocrat's playstyle its name, but also, where's Parallel Lives? One of the best enchantments for tokens in desperate need of a reprint. Where's Cavern of Souls? Innistrad's most iconic land that has seen a bunch of reprints lately, but not here for some reason. Where's Jeleva? Edgar Markov's not the only Innistrad commander that needs a reprint. Where the hell is Blasphemous Act? Where the hell is Exquisite Blood? And where the bloody hell is Zurzov Chaos Rider? Canonize him as Innistrad, you cowards! Who knows where they all are? And what do we get instead? Chalice of Life. How much do you think this card is even worth? Who wanted this exactly? Apart from me, because I love the card and I think it's a lot of fun and I'm really happy to see it included. I'm thrilled to see it and would have been disappointed if it wasn't in this remaster, but you know, God, what a mess. Of course, our spotlight card for the pack is Metallic Mimic, because as I mentioned at 4 minutes 24 last video with Hermit Druid, there are several cards like both of these that have been included in this remaster of Innistrad that never originally appeared in an Innistrad set. Metallic Mimic was originally from Aether Revolt, but has been updated with new art to make its debut as an Innistrad card in this set. This set that's meant to be a remaster. Someone explain to me how exactly this set is a remaster if it includes a bunch of fun and interesting new cards that make both drafting and collecting the set much more enjoyable and exciting even though they're not technically Innistrad reprints? Because I don't get why this cool card that I'm happy to see has been included. I was so confused when I was enjoying myself thinking about all the lore implications of an artifact shapeshifter on a plane and what that could possibly mean for the narrative. Gah. Pack 2. Okay, so last week at 11 minutes and 9 seconds I complained that I didn't like the inclusion of dire werewolves in Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow. So the first card I want to talk about is Scorned Villager, because it actually goes deeper than that. I don't think I liked any of the many werewolves from that block. Averbrook Caretaker has proven itself power-wise. Infestation Expert brought us a new twist on werewolf synergy by creating insect tokens. Cards like Shady Traveller showed us that Innistrad werewolves could be in colours other than green and red. And cards like Village Watch feel ripped straight from the original Innistrad block in terms of flavour. But all of them use the famously unpopular day-night mechanic, and thusly haven't been included here because people rightly didn't like how they played. But that means that only the old school werewolves appear in this remaster. Half of all Innistrad werewolves missing from the set. In terms of flavour, that's crap. But would I have done it differently? Being real, I don't think so. I'm glad they only included the old werewolves because that day-night mechanic really wasn't liked, and personally, I'm still annoyed at how poorly it plays, not just with the older werewolves, but somewhat in general. It's a lot to keep track of, especially in Commander. Though I guess that's more of a criticism against the double feature block that introduced it. But one thing I can criticise about the remaster is that it's supposed to recapture the feeling of drafting an Innistrad set, and with the werewolves they did bother to reprint, like our Scorned Villager here, they've given the cards a triangle instead of the flavourful sun and moon symbol the double-faced cards used to have. It's a really minor thing, but I noticed, and if aesthetics didn't matter then the cards wouldn't have art. On cards like the Galvanic Iteration and Haunted Dead, which have been given the retro frame treatment, they've bothered to include the Odyssey tombstone symbol, so clearly iconography does matter to them. So what the hell? Why strip Innistrad of part of its history and uniqueness from this supposed remaster? At least Double Feature's Day-Night Werewolves got it right and remembered to include the correct symbol. No, it's not a big deal, but it is just another small detail that's made me think that this remaster has mishandled werewolves. Which is a shame because they're supposed to be a significant part of the plane. Our spotlight card, however, is Bruna the Fading Light. At 10 minutes 14 seconds in my last video, I read out this reference. Note that a small number of English language Innistrad Remastered play boosters contains a mismatched double-faced card. Okay, big company like Hasbro can't get its quality assurance under control, and we as consumers just have to accept that we're buying a botched product. Which is already bad, but does that lack of care and attention explain what's gone on here? Can't see it. Dr. Hands, maybe if you could turn the card sideways? Yeah, look at that. Look at the bend in it. Can we see it from another angle? Thank you. I know that some cards do curl, but this isn't a foil. It's double-faced, but it's just a regular card. Dr. Hands, can you slip it in with all the other cards from the pack, please? Jesus. Well, on the bright side, you'll always know where it is in the deck at least. Pack 3. And you know what? Let's mix it up. And for this pack, complain about something new I didn't mention last video. Cards like Mausoleum Guard, which if you read the rules text says, when this creature dies, create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. And for another example from this pack, Tireless Tracker, which if you read the rules text on that says, landfall, whenever a land you control enters, where who knows, maybe your hand or the graveyard, then investigate, which means to create a clue token. So that's 2 different cards in this one pack that create 2 different kinds of tokens. And now to make a small criticism of the set, which I only do in fairness because I said the same thing about Bloomburrow. I don't think our Spotlight card, this one token, is enough to cover a set made up of cards from 7 different expansions. Not including any extra products like Edgar Marker from the Commander decks, for instance. I mean, yes, it is blank, so you could technically use it for anything, but is that enough to actually play with? Well, it wouldn't have been for this pack, as it would need to function as both a spirit token and a clue token. And so I have to ask, do we really need the art cards like that Sorin one we saw in the last pack in Play Boosters? You can't play with them, which means they're for collecting, so shouldn't they be in collector boosters then? And leave the slot in the Play Boosters for sets with heavy token generation for, you know, tokens? To play with? In the Play Boosters? I'd have thought that was sensible, but maybe that's just me. Pack 4. While I'm making new complaints and being petty, you know what? The Land card. This artwork was originally featured on an island from Shadows over Innistrad in this frame, because no Innistrad set was ever printed with cards in the old retro frame border. This isn't recapturing the nostalgia for original Innistrad, because original Innistrad never had cards that looked like that. These are the originals in their original frame. For another example, look at Thalia, originally printed in this frame, but in this remaster, like our island, has also been printed with this retro border. But there is a remastered non-retro frame version which looks like this. Those are the two borders available in this set, and neither of which are correct or match the original, so what are we doing here? Back to this island, because I know how many people like the old frames and others will just shrug this off as a fun thing for collectors. But okay, if that's the case, here's the second Innistrad island to get the retro frame, with artwork from the original Innistrad set, and that's it. None of the 9 other Innistrad islands with unique art get this treatment? Why not? Collectors can't collect something if it doesn't exist. The two we got aren't even from the same set, so if you are someone that likes these old frames or want to collect them, then shouldn't you be able to get them all? Or at least a full cycle of all of the ones from a single set? They could have done this for all of them, why didn't they? Don't you deserve better? Our spotlight card is Tamiyo. I pointed out at 2 minutes 10 of the last video that some of the new artwork brightens up Innistrad's gothic horror setting, and nowhere is that more obvious than here. I mean, get a good look at that moon and the night sky in the background. And to be clear, that is supposed to be the night, the moon is out, that's how Innistrad works. They introduced a whole clock that controls the sky and a key. I'm not getting into that, whatever. Anyway, now look at Tamiyo's original printing, and do you notice a difference? I'll give you a second. See how in this one she needs a lantern, and that adds to the atmosphere a little creeping dread about having to skulk around in the dark, never knowing who's watching, never knowing what's near. Now look again at the new version. It's gothic, I guess, from that window frame, but is it horror? It's very bright, and that night sky is a calming, welcoming blue, which to me at least feels like the exact opposite of what you'd want from Innistrad as a setting. Even if I do actually really like this new version because they've finally settled on what her head should look like in the art. I just wish it was darker. Pack 5. Okay. Well, I guess I know which one we're going to talk about. Yeah, that's the one. Dr. Hands, tell the truth. Did you set this up? Okay, I believe you. So just like at 10 minutes 9 seconds last video, which I think might have also been Pack 5, we have yet another upside down card. It's the foil again, okay. It looks good, but is it misprinted? No, right, okay. So let's look at that statement again. These cards may be played as though mechanically identical to their front face. Oh, how generous that we may ignore your misprint. I'm going to put a pin in this thought though, and like last video, come back to it at the end because I have more thoughts for now. Our spotlight card is the Hell Vault, a 3-mana artifact. Let's get a closer look. Spend 1 and tap it to exile one of your creatures. Spend 7 and tap it to exile an opponent's creature. When this artifact enters the graveyard, return all the creatures to the battlefield. So you have to tap it, so it isn't going to help you avoid a board wipe if you have more than one creature, or single target removal because your creature doesn't return immediately afterwards. Targeting an opponent's creature costs 7 mana, so you can't really use it as removal yourself either because of the cost. Innistrad doesn't really have many common reliable ways to put artifacts into the graveyard, so you can't exactly combo with it even if you do manage to get creatures exiled. And it's legendary, so any benefit it has to come purely from a single copy of this one card. At rare. Now in fairness, its original printing wasn't mythic, which I agree with for the lore purposes, but gameplay, not so much, so it makes sense to downshift it for the remaster, which they're clearly open to as they've done just that. But only to rare? Maybe I'm missing something and this card is amazing, but couldn't have been to uncommon, no? I mean, if you say so, but I'd be bummed to pull this as my rare in a draft, and is that really what we want from a premium set of this price? Pack 6. God damn it, I'm trying to be negative here. Okay, fine, it's the last pack, so I'm just going to quickly nerd out a bit. Our first card is Seize the Storm. Look at it. God damn, look how beautiful that foiling is. Give it a shake. Yeah, that's the stuff. Next up is Gissa's Bidding. Is she the best character in the game? No, that's Rem Carolus, but I'd never tell her that. Look at her art card. I know what I said about them and how they shouldn't be in the packs, but putting Gissa on one is a cheat code to my heart, so of course I'm going to like it. Next up is Triskaidekaphobia. Is it a meme? Now it is, yes, but that's only because of how well the art, flavour and mechanics of this card work together. It's a fantastic card and well deserving of its spot amongst the player's collective consciousness. Unnatural Growth. Is it dumb? Yes. Does it feature dire werewolves that I have an issue with? Also yes. But the words, at the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn has won me so many games. I can't help but love it. And finally, our spotlight card is Midnight Scavengers. It features my favourite mechanic in the entire game, Meld, and so you know what that means. Dr. Hands, please clear the table. Because last week we pulled a Graph Rats, which melds with our Midnight Scavengers, meaning, if we flip them both over together, one oversized chittering host. Goddamn, I love Innistrad. Best set of all time. Right, let's get negative again. So that's it. That's all 6 packs, plus a Graph Rats from last week. I said at the start I was going to take all the observations and critiques I made in that video and try to cover them again here in a more negative light, but I didn't manage to do them all. Though I did bring up some new points like the weird shifts in rarity, the number of tokens in a pack, and the overall quality for the price, so that's not nothing. But before we go, there is one last thing. As I said earlier, I'd come back to a thought. It was after I saw the Upside Down card, which then, even though it wasn't one, reminded me of that statement they put out on misprints, and how they just want us to accept it if we get one. See, the nice thing about WotC putting out a manufacturer's recommended retail price again is that we can see these packs are supposed to be $6.99 each. That is at least a few dollars more than normal packs. For what? For reprints and a couple of new artworks? They've not designed anything new, so this set can't have cost them that much to put together. Yet they're charging a premium? Which is rough, but we're not even seeing that premium go towards quality control. And it's not just the fact that cards are upside down in the packs. It's the misprint and their blasé attitude towards their customers just sucking it up and playing with them anyway. It's the curling of non-foil cards, which is something I don't think I've ever seen before. It's the lack of inclusion of cards you'd expect, which I think is more to do with the secondary market than it is creating a fun draft environment. It's not including all of the werewolves in the set famous for werewolves because of rushed, I imagine unfully playtested game design choices. The specifics of the day-night rules is not included in the reminder text of any of the cards that use it, so they could have just errated the mechanic to have it function more in line with how the old werewolves work without it affecting the text on any existing cards. It's the inclusion of dud rares dropped from Mythic but still appearing in the same slot in packs anyway. It's limiting the chase cool cards you know people want to the retro frame slots only so that people like me can't say that they've not been included in this set because technically, you've got a slim chance of getting one. But we just opened 12 packs and I didn't see any of them. It's adding retro frames to cards that never had them but ignoring the actual original frame. It's the bloody inclusion of these movie posters and serialized Edgar Markovs in the hope that these cosmetic factors will drive sales regardless of the quality of the rest of the product. It's the price, man. I love Innistrad, and I do love Innistrad Remastered, and I'd even go so far as to say that this set is a lot of fun and is well worth picking up and playing with. I would recommend it if you haven't drafted with it already, and it's why I'm still talking about it 2 months after most other people have stopped caring and have moved on. But as much as I love it, I have to admit, all jokes aside, Innistrad Remastered was a mess. What do you think? Please come check me out on Patreon. As you saw at the start of the video, I can't always rely on getting the views, so if you like what I do and want more of it, then I could really use your support. Big thank you again to Zatu for sending me this box. Check them out in the link in the description. It's not an affiliate link, so you can also just Google them. And finally, let me know what you think about everything I said in the comments below. Oh, and come back next week for another quiz, where I guess I'm going to have to finally acknowledge the existence of Aphidrift. Ugh. Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you to everyone that supports me, like Eggboy, the particle that permeates all existence, and the rest of my patrons whose names are on screen now. I'd also like to thank the sponsor for this video, me and my Patreon page, where you can get your name credited on screen too. Check it out in the link in the description below. Hit the like button, leave a comment, install an ad block, and most importantly subscribe and share this video with a friend. Hit the notification bell and do all those things the algorithm loves. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, or you want to see me do a video on another subject, let me know and I will see you next time. I would not recommend recording one of these while you were dog-tired because you stayed up all night watching the Royal Rumble. What? Penta's feet touched the ground, man. What are we even doing?